Okay, good morning. I show 0700. My name is Paul Carlos, Plan Sector Chief Trainee for Incident Management Team 1, and this is the operational briefing for the west zone of the Dixie incident for September 4th, 2021. If I get everybody to mute their phones, take any sidebar conversations outside the briefing area, I appreciate it. We'll start off with night ops situational update.
Good morning, Magnus Johnson, Incident Management Team 1, Night Operations. Branch 9 continues to be nice and quiet. Branch 13, they're getting a lot of good work in there. Didn't have any issues. Division Quebec in Branch 16 and Romeo continue to do direct line construction, patrol and mop up. Down into Sierra just as well in the Silver Lake area. Tango quiet. Westwood sector calls for service. We've got more public in, so we've got more nuisance calls, nuisance smokes, but we're going in and abating those for the citizens in that area. As we roll all the way around into the Janesville branch and down into the down there by Honey Lake, Junction Group, Junction Group, they continue to make those lines and put in check lines coming up towards the escarpment. The fire is still hanging on the escarpment, has yet to push down out of there. Outside of that, nice quiet night. End of report.
Your management and control objectives have not changed for today. Weather.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Derek Williams, incident meteorologist. So another light wind day today. Yesterday we saw terrain-driven winds for much of the day with a short period of southwest winds on the western half of the fire. Really less than 10 miles an hour today, maybe a gust to 15 miles an hour on the ridgetop, but starting off in the Lassen Volcanic National Park area, that area will have the lightest winds today. Terrain-influenced winds, generally upslope and up valley, less than 10 miles an hour. And the smoke is really going to delay the development of those winds. We have really light transport winds, which kind of pushes the smoke around. So it's just kind of hanging around today. We'll still see temperatures climbing up into the upper 80s and lower 90s in the valley areas, particularly here in Susanville. We have a high pressure building overhead. That's kind of why the smoke's just lingering around the area. RH is still very dry. We're starting to see some poorer overnight recoveries starting this morning, starting out in the 30 to 40% range, and that'll worsen the next few days. And as we get into this afternoon, I did want to talk about the Janesville branch and Milford Group area along that escarpment. There could be a late day push of west to northwest winds in that area. Okay, so I don't want to downplay the situation just because it hasn't pushed down that those winds haven't accelerated in the evening hours the past few days doesn't mean it won't happen today. So just keep that eventuality in the back of your mind. So as we go into tonight, light winds again, drainage winds, 5 miles an hour or so. And then as we get into the next few days, temperatures will continue to climb, light winds tomorrow. And then the next wave comes in Tuesday, which could give us some gusty winds. And that's all I have. Have a safe shift.
Fire behavior.
Good morning, Don Watt with Fire Behavior. So the big thing that we're looking at today is that smoke, it's going to kind of calm everything down. Our RH is still low. It will still burn actively, but remember when that smoke clears out and the sun gets on it, it will get a little more active. Short range spotting is still a prediction for the day. I wouldn't expect to see anything mid to long range because you don't have the transport winds. Big thing down here, you still have a lot of that. Anything that didn't completely consume and still has an overstory starting to fall to the ground. That's a whole new fuel layer, and it's starting to get active anywhere that there's heat. So just be aware that if that's coming down near the line, you still have that potential for it to just kind of slowly burn out. As you go around, everything's looking really good. The less smoke production means the less you'll have in the morning. Today we have pretty good smoke layer. Aircraft will be limited in the morning, especially in the valleys into this afternoon. And as IMET was talking about, If that smoke starts clearing out in that Honey Lake area, it will warm up. It has that potential to keep pushing down the escarpment. Just be aware that if it stays smoked in all day, it'll slowly want to back down. If it clears out and gets hot in that valley, you'll have a stronger push coming down that hill. Have a safe shift.
Operational work assignments, operations.
Good morning. My name is Mike Wink, operations for today. Branch 9, no big change there. Continue those calls for service as they reduce those warnings to no level of evacuation or preparedness. Have a lot more folks in there. They're still working along egress and ingress routes, working on some hot stuff. Looking for hose to pull, answering those calls for service. The more people we get in there, anything that they see, we're going to be out there, even if it's not a threat to the line, we're going to be out there mopping that stuff out here in Branch 9. So continue great customer service, tactical patrol, making sure nothing gets outside those lines, and those efforts will be ongoing. Up here in Branch 13, making some good progress on direct and indirect line on the highway, in the park, and then just in the trail system. So good things are happening in here in Branch 13. They continue those great efforts. Once again, above there in the Shasta sector, the egress and ingress routes, the major roads going into that area are now the priority. They've got the primary, secondary contingency, and around all those values of risk in those communities. They feel like they've got a good fuels reduction around there, so now they're focusing on those egress and ingress routes. So good job up there. Continue those efforts while we're continuing to lock this piece down so that nothing comes out of here and threatens those values of risk up there. As we continue over here to Lassen sector, Branch 16, been chasing spot fires and chasing secondary contingency line. The Hall Road is holding. The north end had some spots outside the line in areas that didn't have a lot of heat signature. So that potential is still there. They're out there patrolling those pieces that maybe isn't the focus of that day because that's not where it's been going to the east, but now it's on the north. So as a reminder, 2 days of no spots outside these control lines, the primary line, and then the secondary line and contingency line, then we can reevaluate those. But we got to have 2 days of no spots up in this piece on the north and the east. So continue to look at those secondary and contingency lines, light on the land, not going through any soil that hasn't been disturbed already, stay on a road system, because we still got a plan for that just in case something was to get out, okay? Up here yesterday, they had a line emergency. So for many days, you got that little pocket safety card, right? You have an emergency on the line, make sure you give all that information. So it wasn't an IWI, not because the injury wasn't serious. It was a probably season-ending injury for that firefighter, but it wasn't overly complex, not long response times, no extrication, no helicopters. There was an ambulance from the incident there quickly, medics at scene. So make sure that we did that yesterday. They gave all the information on the card. It set the tone for everything, went well. Great job. Please pass that on to anybody who was out there yesterday. So that's what we expect, and you guys did it. Thank you very much. As we get down here into the lake area, continue mopping up around all those cabins. As we come out here towards the A21, they got a bunch of excavators in here, a bunch of dozer piles with a bunch of heat in them. So we got some extra water tenders we're going to put in there today. We got those excavators digging all those piles apart. Those will be ongoing to get that piece put out. Down here in the Westwood sector, all around along Almanor, West Almanor, and back along this meadow. Once again, we're kind of in that mode of seek and destroy anything you can see from the highways or from the neighborhoods. Things are looking good in there. A lot of tactical patrol and mop up. Continue those calls for service. As we get down here into the Janesville branch area, that's a lot of activity going on down there today with supporting. Once again, we are working in the east zone in this area where we have to be monitoring their command channel to the east and be using their air-to-ground command and air-to-ground TAC because we're below the zone split, okay? So we're down there working and supporting all those efforts. They talked about this is hung up on the ridge on the escarpment. It's down on the 395 side, just slowly backing down. We're in that really unusual weather pattern for this area. Traditionally, when it was making these big runs, a couple miles a day, we were thinking it's going to, with that southwest push, one of these runs, it's going to come over the escarpment and push hard with extreme and erratic fire behavior down to 395. We've been talking about it for 10 days. That didn't happen. That is an unusual occurrence. It's hung up on the edge of the escarpment. You heard the fire weather and the incident meteorologist talk about how it's just there's no weather that's going to force its hand that's predictable to get down to the highway. So we're kind of in this transition period of this unusual weather. It's hung up on the ridge. It doesn't usually do that. We don't, we're looking at best options on how to box it in and go after it. Going direct on this side with dozer line and getting hose lay in there today, looking to see what we're going to do on the 395 corridor. We're not going to be doing any burning operations on the 395 corridor today. That's not in the plan. We're continuing to evaluate that. This side is likely going to burn into the Beckworth complex and the Sugar Scar, okay? So we're working on that piece, supporting our partners down here in the East Zone. So that is today's operational plan. The priorities for today, obviously, number 1 down here in Janesville branch, number 2 up here in branch 16, number 3 branch 13. So with that, have a good day and be safe.
Sector, branch, and divisional roll call resources.
Good morning, Jordan Weber, Resources Incident Management Team 1. If you'll join me on page 2, in the ICS 203, we'll start with the branch and divisional and sector roll call. When you hear your name, please stand. Starting in the Shasta sector, Fields. Branch 9, Smith. Division Juliet, Rambo. Division Lima, Ortegal. Branch 13, Klemick. And trainee, English. Division November and Oscar briefing in the field, Division Papa, Palmer. Shasta Contingency, Stornetta. Lassen Sector, Prather. Branch 16, Petro. Division Quebec, Medeiros. Division Romeo, Milovich. And Carey Trainee. Division Sierra, Costa. Lassen Contingency, Pangburn. Westwood Sector, Rayleigh. Westwood Group, Lawler. Janesville Branch, Benenhoven. Milford Group, Darnell. This will be our one change. Antelope Group, Hemmelrich. And Junction, Niedenberger. Trainee, Rushing. Lassen Fire Suppression Repair, Hauser. Thank you. Have a safe shift.
Air operations.
Good morning, everyone. Matt Hill, Air Operations, CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1. For fixed wing today, obviously we're going to have some issues with visibility, but we'll get air attack up as soon as possible. For rotor wing, we have 16 Type 1 water droppers, 3 Type 2s, 6 Type 3s. We still have 1 mobile retardant base, and we're working out of 2 heli bases. Guard 841 is your 24-hour ALS hoist. They're based out of Reno, and Guard 820 is out of Reading. Super important today, please be vigilant. Air-to-ground command is set aside for divisions and above. Air-to-ground TAC is for working with single increment, 1 aircraft for you folks on the ground. Please respect that. I appreciate that. Make it a safe shift.
Communications.
Good morning, John Aguilera, Communications. For today, Saturday, September 4th, 2021, there is no new radio clone today. If you are new to the incident, please come by Communications to get your radio clone. For your 205s for today, they'll be on page 40 and 41 in your IAP. On page 40, you'll still see a couple command nets listed on there that are unassigned. They are not operational. Please do not use those. They'll be put in place later on in the incident. Any questions, again, concerns and stuff like that, just come over to Communications. We'll help you out. Have a safe shift.
Medical.
Good morning, Race Wickless, Medical Unit Leader. Say your 206 can be found on page 44. Any in-camp medical needs or supplies, we have CalMat located to your left and MERT located behind the mill. Also, any flu-like symptoms or COVID-19 symptoms, feel free to come over to CalMat and get tested. We've got plenty of tests. We can get that done for you. Go down to box 6. We have ambulance staging locations where they'll be for the duration of the operational period. We have line medics in branch 13 and 16 today, and also REMs located in branch 13. Take a look at box 8 for any line emergency procedures, and have a safe shift. Thank you.
Safety.
Good morning, everybody. Brad Niven, Team 1 Safety. Hey, for today, everybody going out there on the line, make sure you're checking out your vehicles. Fluids, belts, headlights, taillights, emergency warning. We've been at this for a really long time. Let's make sure that something simple like that doesn't cause something bad to go wrong. So take that extra time, check out your vehicles. Next, the medical mentioned it, ops mentioned it, the IWA pocket cards. We made more of them today, we're making more of them tomorrow. The goal is that every single person out there on the line has several of those available to them. Pockets, Nomex, uniforms, in the vehicles. Make sure everyone's got those. Thanks.
Liaison.
Good morning, Nate Armstrong, Liaison Officer for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1. If you've been worried that you wouldn't be home in time to vote in the upcoming California gubernatorial recall election, Lassen County has you covered. So by order of the governor himself, the local election office will have booths set up at the park just adjacent to camp out here on Riverside Drive tomorrow and Monday the 6th. They'll allow you to cast a provisional ballot that'll be sent home to the county where you're registered to vote. So they'll be out there 0900 to 2 p.m. for the next couple days. If you have any other questions other than how to vote, we'll be in the Liaison trailer. Just come by and ask. Thank you.
Information.
Good morning, Emily Smith, Public Information, CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1. If you could please join me on page 53, and I can give you some numbers to write in. For the current acreage on the Dixie incident, we're at 885,954 acres at 55% containment with 3,820 personnel assigned. On this page, please continue to adhere to the CAL FIRE and federal social media policies, and if you have anything you'd like to post back home or on your page, please come by the PIO shop first so we can vet those. Also, for packages and lost and found, they're at the PIO trailer that's located off of Riverside Drive near the fuel area, so we're getting quite a bit of items there, so please come by. Thank you and have a great day.
Logistics.
Good morning, Jesse Morris Logistics. If you could please turn to page 62 in your IP, you'll find our facility map for all your logistical locations around camp. And on page 47 is our service schedule for camp as well. Also, yesterday we started the move from Highlands Camp to Hat Creek Camp. The address will be 17855 Dottie Road in Hat Creek. Have a good shift. Thank you.
Our training technical specialist is back in camp today, so anybody with training needs, you could tie in with him this morning. Agency Administrator.
Hey, good morning, Scott Packwood, Lassen Modoc Unit Chief and Agency Administrator. I just wanted to talk about COVID a little bit. We had some complaints locally about people going into businesses without wearing masks. So Lassen County Health Officer has not issued a mask order in the county. However, I do ask that if you go into a business, one of the stores or local businesses, restaurants that has their own mask requirement, that you be respectful of that and wear your masks inside those businesses. So continue to stay healthy, keep up the good hygiene. As you know, there's been an increase in COVID positive cases, so let's all do our best to stay healthy and be respectful of the local businesses. Thank you.
Final comments, Unified IC.
Good morning, Mike Minton, one of the Unified ICs here. So on behalf of all the Unified ICs, I wanted to start this morning with giving you a little perspective on what's going on. And I put some numbers together because I think it's kind of important for us to understand what our situation is here. So this morning on the Dixie fire, we're at 885,954 acres and reporting 55% containment. Collectively across the rest of North Ops, which is the highest priority geographic area nationally right now, there is 864,959 acres involved outside of Dixie. Okay, so again, At Dixie, we're at 885. So there are more involved acres on this fire than there are in the rest of the geographic area here in Northern California. So we're more than half of the workload right now happening in the highest priority geographic area on, September 4th? So September 4th, we're more than a month and a half into this fire. Month and a half into this fire in a piece of geography that is not accustomed to seeing fires anywhere near this size. 30 years ago, I started my career here in Susanville. And a large fire here was in the 30 to 75,000 acre range. I remember the Fountain Fire back in '93 at 64,000 acres was a gigantic fire. We've got spot fires almost that big on this fire. So this is a really significant incident. And here's your role in it. Cost to date, $448 million on this fire, okay? So your role today is protecting that investment. When you look at the amount of uncontained fire edge we still have on the west zone, on the north end of this fire, if you draw a loop around that and take all that uncontained fire edge together, you're looking at about 42,000 acres. So there's still about a 42,000 acre fire still uncontained here on the west zone. And then you add all the rest of the perimeter line that we're dealing with here, which, oh, by the way, has reburn potential in it right now. And we've seen a few examples of where that's occurring. So miles and miles of ground to patrol. So between the patrol and the uncontained fire edge that we're still making great progress on, your job today is protecting that investment. So think about that. Think about the perspective of what it is that you're assigned to here and what you're involved with and what your role in that is today. As always, put responder safety first. Be mindful about how you engage. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you.
Okay, next operational brief me tomorrow morning, 0700. Everybody report to their breakouts, please. The perimeter of the briefing area. Unassigned resources report to the back table where you gathered your IEPs. Thank you. Have a safe shift.